car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
And we welcome you to Low Overhead Country, the Frontier Motor Show here on News Talk 1370 WCOA. Hope your day is going well. We intend to make it even a little better if possible. You'll have the opportunity for the remainder of this half hour to get the price of a car or a truck or an SUV that you're thinking of buying or selling or trading in, or perhaps you just like to get some information and news about the car business. You have come to the right place. Ivan Streckel, the owner of Frontier Motors, has joined us. You give us a call at 478-3116. I will see that you are connected to him to ask whatever question that you might have. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Don. Thanks so much. And here we are again. This is the Frontier Motor Show on 1370 AM Talk Radio. And we're also videotaping this for our cable and satellite subscribers that are watching this. So this, if you're watching this, is not a live show. We're doing this. We actually record this during the day. If you're listening to this on the radio, you can call, like Don had said, and get a value for your car if you'd like. It's 437. Was it number? Did I get that right?
478-3116.
There you go. 478-3116. We've been having that same telephone number for the last 19 years, and I still don't have it memorized. That's all right, Don. I'll get over it. And if you're watching this on TV, if you want to call the dealership, the phone number will be on the bottom of the screen. The reason you might want to call and join us is if you want a value on your car. Maybe you're driving down the road and you're thinking, hey, I would love to get an idea of what I could sell my car for if you decide to sell the car yourself, or perhaps maybe what you could get on trade if you decide to trade the car, and if you decide to buy a brand spanking new car, what would they give you for your trade-in? And we use a couple of different formats. The first book that we use is the Black Wholesale Guidebook. These are the books that you won't see laying on anybody's desk at the dealership because these are what they call secret books because they tell you what a car is going for at an auction. Now, at Frontier Motors, we have no problem sharing these books with you. We have the Black Wholesale Guidebook we'll share with you. We also have the NEDA Guidebook, and the NEDA is a little bit different than you might get on the internet. If you Google used car values on the internet, you're going to find a Kelly Blue book. You're going to find an Edmunds, and you're also going to find a book that looks like the one I'm holding up, but it's a little bit different. It's a consumer's version, and we use an official edition. And the reason we use this particular edition is because this is the ones that our banks and our credit unions and a lot of our insurance companies in our area use, which is very important if you're going to finance the car, because you're going to talk to your bank. Let's say you're going to go to Penn Air Credit Union, Navy Federal, or one of the local credit unions or banks in town, and you say, hey, I want to buy this particular vehicle. The first thing they're going to do is book it out for you. Book it out means they're going to open the book and they're going to go and look at the model that you have, and they're going to add for equipment. They're going to add or deduct for miles. If you have high miles, there's going to be deduct. If there's low miles, they're going to add, and they're going to come out with a value. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you're supposed to pay. And that's why Frontier Motors gives you what I consider the real values. And that is by going into the auction reports, I can go right and find out what's going on at the auction. So if you've got a 2014 Chevy Impala, for example, and the NEDA says it's worth $20,000 retail, well, if they're going through the auction at $15,000, this retail book is exaggerated because the dealers do not get away with marking their vehicles up $5,000. Even though they might like to, they're not going to get away with it because it's too competitive out there. If I can buy a car for $15,000 at the auction, I should be able to pay the shipping, pay the auction fee, pay the buyer, bring it back to the dealership, make a profit on it, and sell somewhere between $17,000 and $18,000. And still make pretty good money on that vehicle. Now, if the book value says it's worth $20,000, obviously, if you're using that particular book, the book that the bankers are using, in this particular case, I'm using an Impala as an example, you'd be paying too much. Now, sometimes it's the opposite. I booked out a vehicle the other day. It was a Jeep Wrangler, and it had a retail value of $6,500. Well, when you go into the marketplace and find out what they're selling for, they're selling for about $8,500. So in this particular case, the book value was lower than reality. So if you're using the book value and the banker says, well, the Jeep brake, I wouldn't pay any more than $6,500, you're not going to be buying one, because the dealers are even paying more than that for some of the older vehicles. And that's because in this particular case, the book is lower than what it should be. The car up as much as a lot of the franchise dealerships do. And there's some dealerships, especially if it's a Highline car, that if they don't make $5,000 or $6,000, they just don't sell the car. Well, I can sell the vehicle for a lot less profit than that and still stay in business. And therefore, the difference should be somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000 on the bottom line if you're buying from a place like Frontier Motors versus going to a franchise dealership. And I can tell you within minutes the difference between what I can sell a car for and what they're asking, because I have a program called Price Driver. And this Price Driver program is really kind of unique. And I share this information with our customers that come in. I had a customer the other day that said that I think they were looking at a Mazda 3. We had a 2015 Mazda 3 on the lot, and I gave them a price on it. And before I gave them a price, I went to Price Driver, and I printed off every Mazda 3 within 150 miles. Because most people will travel 100 to 150 miles to buy a car. So that would be a little past Mobile, maybe even towards Tallahassee. That's about 150 miles. And so what I do is I printed that out for my customer, and I shared that information with them, and I found out that my customer said they were going to think about it, but what they really meant is that they're going to shop about it. In other words, they wanted to go to every car dealership to see every Mazda 3 they could to find out who's going to have the least expensive one. Well, when I printed that out, I made it very easy for them, because I showed them where every Mazda 3 was, who had it, what color it was, how many miles were on it, and how much they had it discounted to. Most of the time, that when you find a vehicle on this Price Driver program, they're a discounted vehicle, because the dealers are going to put their best price on the internet. If they put their worst price on the internet, you'd never come in. So what the dealers do, they've gotten smart a long time ago, is there was a lot of dealerships that didn't even put pricing on the internet. Well, dealers can't get away with that anymore. Matter of fact, about 15, 16 years ago, when we started doing heavy advertising on the internet, I'm one of the dealerships that didn't put prices on there, because I figured, well, as long as the people knew that we had the car, they would come in and find out how much it is, or they'd call first. Well, that was fine back then. Well, fast forward 15 years later, all of our cars have a price on them. We have 325 cars in inventory, another about 20 coming in, and they're all, as soon as we get them in, as soon as we have the invoice on those, we put a price on the internet. And that's not an asking price, that's a discounted price, because I want to make sure that we have a very competitive price out there. If we don't have the least expensive one, I make sure that we have the lowest mileage one, or we have the highest equipment, or we have the best condition. And that's one of the things that the book values, when you look at the book values, and it's interesting when you get a price from your banker, they never even look at the car. So they can't tell if it's good looking or if it's ugly. Now, would there be a price difference on a good-looking vehicle versus an ugly one? I think there is. I think there's a big difference. Would there be a difference in price in the condition of the vehicle, not just how it looks, which, again, I look at the ugly factor. If you've got a car that's purple with a pink interior, I consider that ugly. And I know there might be people out there listening that think that that's a great color combination, but in the car business, it's not a good color combination, folks. Trust me on this one. If you're driving a car that's purple and you have a pink interior, the value of the vehicle might be highly diminished, even though the book value doesn't even ask you the color. And that's why sometimes you can take these book values and throw them in the trash. The book value that we use, which is what the bank use, don't even compensate for condition. I think the number one thing in pricing a vehicle is the condition of the vehicle. And you're going to see this a lot of times. There's a couple of dealerships that have billboards on I-110, and I saw this the other day, and it was a 2015 used car. I'm not going to mention the car or the dealership. Most of the dealers are mad at me enough because I do sometimes have a tendency to talk bad about some dealerships that deserve it. I try not, unless I get carried away, I don't mention the dealer's name or where they are or what they sell. I think that they all get their own. But there's a dealership that advertises a certain price on a car, and when I look at that price, it's a really good price. And I know how they do it because I've watched them and my buyers have watched them. They go to the auction, And they're looking at the cars, and they're 2015 model cars, and they look at the auction rates of the cars from 0 to 5. They on purpose buy a car that's rated from a 1 to a 2. You'd never buy that car. But I'll tell you what, it gets you in the door because they can advertise the car. They're not even false advertising, other than the fact there's not a disclaimer on there, which makes it, I think the price of the car was $14,888. And when I look at the fact that there's no disclaimer, by the way, if you do see that car and you like it and you don't care about the condition of the car and it passes your condition report, you should make them sell it for $14,888 out the door, including taxes, title, and dock fee, because if they don't have a disclaimer, that's illegal. So that means really they have to sell that car for around $13,200 to $300 to get it at $14,888 out the door. But what they do on purpose is they buy the car in bad condition. And you think, well, why would they do that? So they can advertise it. And then what they do, they'll buy 2 or 3 of them in very bad condition, and they'll buy about 10 of them in very good condition. But it allows them to advertise the cheapest one that gets you in the door. You look at the car, you say, man, this car is ratty. This car, the tires are bald in this thing. It's got dings and dents on it. I know it's only got 25,000 miles on it. It's still in warranty, but it looks like it's been hit with a broom everywhere. It's just a nasty car. Well, again, and then they say, well, if you don't like this one here, why don't you look at this one over here? It's the same car. It's the same miles on it. It's $2,500 more. Well, why is it more if it's the same miles? Well, look at the car. It's absolutely perfect. So it really works. I never buy anything at the auction unless it's rated a 4 or above. I would rather, and what I try to do is weed through a bunch of these cars to make sure I can get them at the right price so that I can be competitive with that $14,888 price, but give you a vehicle that's really, really nice. And even if it's a little bit more, most people are willing to pay a little bit more when they see the vehicle. And a lot of times I snicker when a customer comes in. I'll have a car on the lot, and it was last week, I think it was a pickup truck I had on the lot, and I gave the customer a price, and they said, well, you know, I found one in Miami, and it was $1,500 less, and it was just like it. So I said, you're willing to drive to Miami or fly to Miami to look at a vehicle that's advertised for $1,500 less, that might be a complete rat. It might have been a smoker's car. It might have been in an accident. It might have paintwork on it. It might have equipment not working on the vehicle if it's out of factory warranty. And these are all might-haves. Then what I always tell you as a customer, if you're shopping around and you get on a program like Price Driver, or you get on Auto Trader or Cars.com and you see 50 of them available, well, what is your first inclination would be go least expensive one. A lot of people hit you can sort by price. And the most expensive one might be $20,000, and the least expensive might be $12,000. Well, where are you going to go? You're going to go to the $12,000 one, and you're going to cut that one out, and and let's say that car is 400 miles away. Well, you don't want to travel 400 miles, but you sure like the price, so you take that price and you go to every dealer in town to find out there's no way that you can buy that car for that. And the reason is because you can't get a decent one for that price. But they have it, and they have it advertised. So what I try to do is get a car that's in really good condition. It's in really good color. Has no issues. In other words, it's not been in a major accident. It doesn't have a bad Carfax report. It hasn't been painted on. It's not smoked in. It doesn't have dings and dents in it. And it's still competitively priced with everything else out there. And that's how I'm able to win a customer's business. And the nice thing about Frontier Motors, folks, when you come on the lot, don't forget, we're not a franchise dealership. And what that means is that we don't sell just Chevrolets. If you go to a Chevy store, what are they going to try to sell you? They're going to try to sell you a Chevrolet if you're looking at new. If you go to a Ford store, what are they going to try to sell you? Well, they're going to give you all the reasons why the Ford is the best vehicle out there. And if you go across the street to the Dodge, same thing there. And if you go across the street to BMW, same thing there. No matter where you go, those salespeople they've all been at school to tell you why their product is the best. At Frontier Motors, we don't have to do that. The reason we don't have to do that is because we sell them all. We have the Chevrolets right there. We have the Fords. We have the BMWs. We have them all lined up. And our salespeople unlock every single car every morning. So that way, when you come and shop, you can shop at your leisure. A lot of people like shopping on Sundays. You know why? Because most dealerships are closed. And the reason they like that is so they're not pressured into making a decision or looking at something they're not interested in. Well, you can shop at Frontier Motors even when we're open just like that. By asking a salesperson for a price list. We have a price list like this we print out every day. So it's current. It tells you what we're asking. It tells you the discounted price. It tells you the equipment and the miles, because some of them have digital odometers, so you don't know the miles. And let's say you want to stick with something under 20,000 miles. Well, this price sheet will tell you. And then you can tell a salesperson, just give me a price sheet. I saw it on the Blab Show, or I saw it on I heard it on 1370 AM. I just want to be left alone. So that way you can shop by your leisure. Most customers want the help of one of our salespeople. And the reason is because they want to narrow it down. They come in and say, well, I've got a budget of $15,000. I want an import, I want a domestic, or I want an SUV for $15,000. Well, when you have 350 cars sitting there, it's really difficult to go from one to the other. So our salespeople help you narrow that down to where you want to be. They might show you other vehicles like that, but they don't have to sell you something. Isn't that really the way it should be? That you're not sold something, that you're not asked stupid questions like, how much do you want to pay? Or what do you want for your trade-in? Or what do you want your payments to be? Or, how much are you putting down? These are all stupid questions as far as I'm concerned. Because I think it's our job as a dealer to tell you how much it is. It's our job as a dealership to tell you how much we'll give you for your trade-in and not ask you what you want for it. Obviously, if it's a $2,000 car, if somebody asked me, how much do I want for my $2,000 car, I'd say $20,000. Stupid question, stupid answer. As a dealership, we should appraise your car and tell you how much it's going to be. And then what we should do is give you a printout of the car that you're looking at, like a brochure, which we can print out a brochure, a color brochure if you want on any car you're looking at. That way you remember the car, because maybe you do want to go to 10 or 15 dealerships before you're done. You're going to forget. If we're the first one you stop at, you're going to forget which one you're at. So we put it in writing, and then we give you an out-the-door price in writing. That way, that's all you have to remember. If my out-the-door price in writing is $15,000, including taxes, the dock fee, the tag transfer, your trade-in, if you have a payoff we add, the title fee, the registration, everything's in there with that figure. That way, when you go to the next dealership, if that's what you want to do, if I'm at $15,000 out the door and they're at $18,000 out the door, well, it's kind of a no-brainer if if you're comparing apples to apples. I saw the other day we lost a deal because a customer was looking at a 4-year-old car at Frontier Motors, and they went and they bought a car just like that, 4 years newer. Now, they didn't pay the same, but that's what they wanted. So we don't sell everybody a car, but what we do is we make it easy for them. And they vowed that the next time they're in the market, they come back and buy from us. And that's really what we want our customers to say. We don't sell everybody a car. Some people buy brand new. I haven't mentioned this, but if December keeps going like November did for new car sales, the new car sales this year could hit a record. The record was 17.4 million. And that's what their track, maybe beat that. And what that means, there's people buying new cars. So how do I help people if they're going to buy a brand new car? Well, number one, I've got the new car cost guide, so I know what the invoices are. I have probably 5 people a day come in, and they ask me, hey, what should I pay for this car? What should I pay for that car? And the reason is because I can tell them what the dealer paid, so I can give them a helpful hint on what they should pay. You're not going to buy it below what the dealer paid for, but if you know what they paid, it just makes it easier for you. The second thing I help you with if you're going to buy a brand new car is I'm going to appraise your trade-in to make sure the dealership that you're doing business with, if you're going to buy brand new, is not undercutting the trade. Now, why would they do that? Why would they undercut the trade? Well, maybe they don't like your car. I know it's hard to believe. The book says the car's worth $20,000 and they pay $15,000 for it. Well, why is that? They don't like it. Why don't they like it? Because they've had 3 or 4 of cars like yours on the lot and they just haven't done good with them. So their appraisal is going to be really bad. The other reason might be maybe they have 7 of them just like that on the lot. And if they have them all lined up, they need another one like a hole in the head. So they give you a low appraisal because they got them there and they're all 50 days old and nobody's even looked at them. But they're not going to tell you that. They're just going to give you a price. Now, that's why it's nice to know what the car should be worth. And the way we do that is we take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. We drive the car around the block. We scan the ID number. Everybody these days, most people have a smartphone. I know there's still some flip phones out there. I think Don just graduated from his flip phone to a new smartphone, didn't you, Don?
Reasonably intelligent phone, yes.
Yes, you got one.
Kind of a middle of the road one. But yes, I do
but
have
it's smart.
One. Yeah.
It's smart. And my smartphone has the ability to scan the ID number of any car out there. And within minutes, actually, it's within seconds, I can do an appraisal on that car. So what I do is I scan it, I drive, and while you're driving the car around, it's downloading the pictures that I took, it's downloading the information, it's downloading the history reports, and I can come back and I say, Mr. Customer, I will buy your car from you for $15,000. Boom, there's your appraisal. And then what I can do is I can print that off in writing, so you can have it. So if you go decide to buy a brand new car, you can take it to the new car dealer. Now you might not want to give this information right off the bat. You might want to have them appraise your car for you, and come back with an offer. But if they come back with a $12,000 offer, what are you going to say? You're going to say, no way. I'm spending money with you guys, and you're giving me a lower appraisal than Frontier Motors, and I'm not even buying a car from them. And that's why you stop at a Frontier Motors, so we can give you an official appraisal. Very rarely do I not want to buy your car. Now, for example, right now, if you're driving around in a Volkswagen diesel, I would take your Volkswagen diesel and trade. But would I advertise to buy that car? No, I wouldn't. I don't need a Volkswagen diesel right now, not with the diesel scam that's going on right now with Volkswagens. And we actually sold both of our Volkswagens, Don, thanks to the WCOA radio show.
Good.
We advertised them on the radio show that I had 2 diesels. And when this scam came out, if you haven't heard about it, Volkswagen's in big trouble for cheating on the emissions test on diesel vehicles. And they have to either buy them back, or they have to fix them, or I don't know what they're going to do, but it's up in the air right now. I made on the radio, I said, I've got 2 diesels. I'm willing to, instead of make $2,000 on them, I'm willing to lose $2,000 on them. Well, we sold them both within a matter of a week, but because they're good cars, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that if we had emissions testing, they'd still pass because they cheated on them. So they still would pass emissions, even though they're not what I would consider clean diesels, which is obviously a big no-no when you advertise the fact that buy a diesel from Volkswagen, and then you go in there and you think you're getting and helping us save the planet, to find out the emissions are worse than ever before. So anyways, that's an example of a car that I wouldn't buy, but I would still appraise for you. But just about everything else we could use for a lot, even if I have multiples of them. For example, I've got about 6 Honda Accords right now. If you're driving a Honda Accord, I'd love to have another one. I'd love to have another 10 because they sell like crazy. So I'm not opposed to giving good appraisals out on cars just because I have them on the lot. But why not get that opinion? If you have other questions on which car is a good car and a bad car, wouldn't it be nice to go to an independent dealership like Frontier Motors that can give you that information based not just off of what Consumers Report says, which we subscribe to, but also based on our experience being at Frontier Motors now going on 20 years. This is our 20th year anniversary week. Started in 1996, and next year will be 2016. So we're 19 years business, going on 20 years right now. And we've really grown our reputation, not just by selling more and more cars every year, which every year we sell more cars because we have more customers out there that come back and come back and come back and buy another car, but because of how we do business. It's not even the cars, even though the cars are important, obviously you have to have a good, clean product. But it's how you treat the people when they come in that makes a difference. And there's so many people that say, I'm going to buy a Frontier Motors. Even if they don't have exactly what I'm looking for, I'll give them the opportunity to find me that car because I just like the way they do business. I like the way they give me a price right off the bat. They treat me good. They don't try to pressure me into making a sale when I'm not ready. A lot of people come and say, I just want to think about it. And a lot of people do want to think about it. A lot of people want to shop about it. So we do the shopping for you. We tell you every vehicle like the one you're interested in, what's available within 150 miles, so you can go to that dealership, or you can use our information to help you make a deal. Then we'll place the trade-in for you. And we'll say, here's what we'll buy your car from you for, even if you find a car somewhere else. Let's say you found a car. I had a customer the other day that wanted a Mazda Miata hardtop, but they wanted an automatic, and all we had was a stick. So they said, I'm going to give you some time to find that car. But even if they find a car they like before I find them that car, I still can appraise their trade-in so they know what they're getting. The other thing, what if you want to sell your car yourself? The first 3 pages on Craigslist is avoiding scams. I get a little nervous when you want to put your car on Craigslist, and they tell you, don't do this, don't do this. And they tell you, don't accept a cashier or a certified check. Banks cash fakes, and then they hold you responsible. Well, if you can't take a cashier's check or a certified check, what the heck are you going to take? $100 bills? I'd be more nervous about that than a cashier's check. And Craigslist says don't take a cashier's check. How do you do it? How do you sell it? It gets dark at 5 o'clock. I'm not sure if you noticed that lately. Mm-hmm. You want somebody coming over to the house at 5 o'clock to look at your car, maybe take it for a test drive, maybe never even come back. That's another thing to tell you about. They tell you go with them on a test drive. Well, that might be even more dangerous. Why not just bring us the car? If I can't write you a high enough check, I can sell it for you. And that's called consignment. You drop the car off. You have to have the ability to drop the car off. I'll normally pay between $1,000 to $1,500 more on the consignment because I don't have to tie up my cash. So the advantage to you is you're going to get more money. The disadvantage is you don't get paid till it's sold. But we do a really good consignment program. So if you've got a car that you can be without, that you want to dispose of, you stop at Frontier Motors and we will give you a buy bid and a consignment bid. And the worst case scenarios, we'll tell you what to sell it for. Forget about all the book values. We'll tell you really what that car should sell for on the open market. If you do not care about the scams that you see when you sell your car yourself and you want to take that risk because you can make more money, then go ahead and do it, and we'll tell you what to watch out for. Only got a couple of minutes left, folks. We want to let you know that we do have a great Facebook page, so if you want to go to Facebook and like us on Facebook, you're going to see our inventory there. You're going to see this show that I'm recording right now for Blab TV. It's going to be on there. Also, if you go to our website, you're going to see it. And we also put all of our shows on YouTube. So if you're listening to this right now and you want to play it back and get any information off of it, you can go ahead and do that by just Googling YouTube and then go to Frontier Motors, and we're going to have our half-hour shows on there. And we also want to let you know we got a great website. You don't really need to memorize the address. Just type in Frontier Motors, and we're the first one that comes up. I think there's about 5 or 6 Frontier Motors in the nation because we sell the most amount of cars, and we're on there the most. We're going to be the first one that pops up, and you can click on our inventory. You're going to see this morning we have 340 cars, 325 sitting there, another 15 coming in. So we have about 340 cars. We usually have about 30 to 40 detailed photographs of the car, a good description, and we're going to have the asking price and the discounted price on there. If you got any questions, see if there's any more leeway, you can either email us or you can give us a call at Frontier Motors. And I want you to remember that we are the place to go if you need advice. And advice would be something like, what is my car worth now that it's been an accident? Should I get my car totaled or should I have them fix it? What is my car worth if you've inherited a car? What if you need it for a probate or something like that? I think we're the only dealership that I know of that will give you an estimate in writing and sign it. That way, if you have an insurance claim, you can back the insurance company and you can say, hey, somebody just ran to my car. The vehicle had $15,000 worth of damage. I know the vehicle is worth a little less right now because it's been in an accident, but how much less is it worth? And that's called diminished value, and we will give you a letter of diminished value. The type of inventory that we have over 200 vehicles in inventory that are still in a factory warranty, so we are what I consider the alternative to new, but because we have so many cars that are like new, we also take a lot of vehicles in trade that we can sell for under $10,000. And that's Frontier Motors, 230 Beverly Parkway. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Or truck. Guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay. Come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier. We've got the right price. Frontier. We'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors. Low overhead country.